Hey everybody, it's Wraith. So before I get into the video today, I have a couple of preliminary announcements. First things first, my brother actually just released a new album called The Granite State Project. If you wouldn't mind checking it out, we'd both appreciate it. I'll leave a link in the description below. Also, I had someone comment that my Let's Play playlist is a little excessive. And I don't think it is currently, just because I don't have that many videos. But as my channel grows, I feel like it will become a little convoluted, a little unnecessary. So if you wouldn't mind leaving comments below as to what you think. For those of you who have been to the end of my Let's Play videos, you've noticed I've got the playlist for that game and then the Let's Play playlist. So if you wouldn't mind leaving a comment below, just sort of recommendations on what I should replace the Let's Play playlist with, whether it be like another video from another playlist, whether it be the next video in that playlist or something like that, I'd really appreciate it. So for this video, I wanted to talk about being antisocial, and more specifically trying to break out of that antisocial mindset. So predominantly, I'm going to be speaking about the sort of antisocial personality that I've struggled with. I know there are probably a lot of other ones out there with a lot of different root causes, but for me, it's more of a concept of me getting in my own head and trying to cut off pain before it happens. So, for instance, I've had some relationships that have gone south and have left me a little bit scarred because of it, emotionally anyways, and it got to the point where I decided that hanging around females was just bad. It was going to lead to pain, or on the opposite side of the females didn't want anything to do with me type thing. And I'm not talking about necessarily romantically. I've kind of gone through this comment of what I mean by that in the past, but even just as like friends, I felt like they wanted nothing to do with me, and it got to the point where I decided that I had nothing worth saying, or that whoever I was thinking about talking to wouldn't want to hear it. And it got to that point of where I was so afraid that if I tried to talk to whoever it was, that I would push them away, that in so doing, I ended up pushing them away. And it sort of became that thing of, I don't want to push you, or I don't want you to push me away for trying to talk to you, for me thinking I'm hitting on you or something. So I just sort of beat you to the punch. I'm like, well, you're going to push me away anyway, so I'll just push you away now. And it's a very lonely path to be down. I've recently started trying to fix that and sort of going the logic of just say what you want to say. If they don't want to hear it, then they'll tell you. Or they'll walk away, in which case just move on to the next person you want to talk to. And so far it's gone okay. My mindset, I'm still terrified that I'm going to say something wrong, that I'm going to do something to offend them or something like that. What is that behind me? Oh, it's just a hole. Anyways, so it's one of those things that's been very hard for me to do, but I have to do it because I'm tired of going through life just saying, well, I'll have to live alone because no one wants to talk to me. Well, I haven't been giving them a chance. I've just been automatically assuming they don't want to talk to me. So it's something that I'm trying to work a lot harder on. Honestly, the reason I'm making this video is because I've been talking about this an awful lot with a lot of my friends on why my mentality is the way it is, things like that. And it's honestly felt really nice breaking out of that confined shell that I had myself in and actually talking to people. I mean, yeah, it's still hard because of that fear, but at least now I'm having communication with people, having that interaction, and that's, I think, overall been better than the fear that has been bad. So sort of, there's more positive than negative to it. And I know a lot of people around me who also have the sort of antisocial mentality, and that's another reason I'm making this video, because I feel like there are a lot of people who can relate to it. I feel like living life alone, antisocial or not, is just not... I follow the principle of an Ed Sheeran song that says success is nothing if you've got no one there left to share it with. And I think a lot of people who have no one there to share it with is because they're so afraid that people are going to shun them if they try to talk to them or whatever. And again, they push them away before they can get pushed away. And I And I can't speak too much to it because honestly, obviously, I've been doing it myself. So I understand the appeal of just beating the pain to the punch and inflicting on yourself by pushing them away before they can do it. I think it's sort of a semblance of control. You feel like if you push them away, then at least you're the one controlling the isolation. You're the one determining that you're going to be alone. Whereas if they push you away, they're in charge. And I had actually my roommate comment that, yeah, they could push you away, but you don't know that. And I've had friends say that too. It's that thing of you never know until you try. And you have to try because you can't do this life alone. It's just not possible. You have like, people are like, oh, well, the monks live alone. Yeah, but the monks have each other too. And I don't know. It's sort of an odd analogy, I suppose, but it's just one of those things where you really have to get out there and let people interact with you and interact with them. And I've noticed a lot of times that, like with me, I'll sit in the background and wait for people to approach me. And you can't really do that anyways because they're doing the exact same thing. They're waiting for you to approach them, and you're sitting there waiting for them to approach you, and no one approaches anyone because of it. So it's just something where you've got to take the initiative and move forward, and you never know what might happen. They may be like, oh yeah, I've noticed you over there. I've been wanting to talk to you for a while. I just wasn't sure how to start the conversation. So be that person to start the conversation. Things like that. I feel like there was more I wanted to say. I'm trying to think of what per se. I don't know. It's just, I feel like it's been a lot better for me now that I've started trying to reach out to people. It's a little odd for my mind because my mind's trying to think of how to interact with these people since I've spent so long isolating myself. But people sort of have understood where I'm coming from, or at least not noticed that it was awkward, if it was awkward for them at all. But it's one of those things, and I've said that line, it's one of those things, I've said that a lot. Anyways, moving on. Anyways, it's a little bit hard for me to talk about just because it's going into a lot of what my mind is. So I think another thing that people need to realize is that just because something happened one way a certain time does not mean it's going to happen again. And I suffered from that a lot. Again, I mentioned I had some relationships that left me scarred, and a lot of me was like, if I try and pursue another relationship, it's going to do that exact same thing. And it's again that principle of you'll never know unless you try. And I'm not looking for a relationship. I said that in my love video. I'm looking for a friendship, and if something more comes of it, then that's great. But I just want friendships. I want people I can be open with, who can be open with me and things like that. So a little comment I had with one of my friends while I was riding home. I was taking them home from another friend's house, actually. And I commented on how for antisocial people, physical contact means a lot more because they don't get it as much. And I don't really understand why they don't get it as much. I think it sort of stems back to that whole concept of they push people away, so people assume that they just want to be left alone. And it's like the farthest thing from the truth. Like, they act like they want to be left alone, but deep down inside, they really desperately want someone to come up and say hey and just start a conversation with them. But because of that sort of secluded, cut off personality that they display towards people, a lot of people, like, I feel like antisocial people don't get as many hugs, handshakes, things like that. And honestly, it's one of those things that it's such a simple thing. Just hugging someone is such a simple concept, but it means so much. Like, when you don't get that on a regular basis, a hug from someone can mean the world. And I mean, obviously, a lot of people will get hugs from family, things like that, but getting hugs from friends or people you work with or things like that, it just holds a whole new meaning when it doesn't really happen. And I've actually noticed while I was hanging out with people, like when I was hanging out with my roommate, I would notice that our friends would hug him and then just say hey to me and turn around and walk away. And it got to the point where I was like, well, why does he get a hug and I just sort of get, hey, how you doing? And again, I think I gave off some sort of air of I don't really want to be here. I don't really want to be talking to you. And because of that, they're just like, hey, bye. So it's a really deep down mental thing. It's really hard to combat because a lot of antisocial people have been teaching themselves and reinforcing these habits of pushing people away and acting like they don't want to be in a social setting, things like that. So a lot of it is saying, no, I'm going to go out and I'm going to hang out with this person. I'm going to go talk to this person. It's trying to break down those barriers you built. You have to actually actively seek to put yourself in places you wouldn't normally be, whether that be going to a bar and doing karaoke, whether that be going to a social gathering, a party, something like that. Or just flat out, hey, I'm going to go talk to this person. Situations you normally wouldn't get yourself in until it comes to the point that those walls break down and you realize, hey, this feels great. I'm loving talking to this person. I'm loving having more people to talk to, period. And I think that the more you do that, the more you get those positive reactions to having talked to these people, hung out with these people, things like that, the more your mind will go, I like this, let's do this more often. And those barriers of go away, I don't want to hang out with you, I don't want to be in a social setting, will gradually break down as your mind goes, forget that old mentality. I want what I felt hanging out with that person. I want what I felt talking to those people, things like that. And that's something I'm really trying to do personally right now, because really I was one of those people who I would go to work, go home, eat, play video games, go to bed. And I don't really count this YouTube because I'm really just talking to a screen right now, honestly. I know there are going to be people watching this, but it's not the same as like you see the person responding right in front of you. So I don't count this as me being more social or anything like that. I mean, I think it is a step, I guess, because it got me talking about my feelings, and in a way, by talking about it, I more internalize what I'm actually thinking. So it's not just, well, this is what I'm thinking, but I don't realize it. It's now I have to actually think about what I'm thinking. And by doing that, oh, well, now that I think about it, I've been like this the whole time, and this is why. So I think it's another one of those things that the more you talk about it, the more you can realize ways of fixing it, kind of like I'm doing here. This is more me just trying to say what I've learned in case it can help someone else discover what I'm trying to discover, which is that being social and taking those chances is worth doing because we can't live alone. And if you try saying, well, the right person will come to me or something like that, then you're going to live alone because you're never going to reach out to people, and people are going to see that and be like, well, they just want to be left alone. So I'm pretty much, what I'm saying is there are a lot of antisocial people out there. I'm one of them. I know a lot of them. But I think it's time for all of the antisocial people to really just go out there and start hanging out with people, talking to people, breaking out of their shell to try and sort of regain their social life, regain that happiness that comes with interacting with people that they didn't know was there because they were afraid of the pain that comes when they get shut down. And I think that's a lot of it. It's terrifying. It was terrifying for me to like go out and be social, hang out with people, especially females. And it was one of those things I had to force myself to do it because I was absolutely afraid. I was terrified that she was going to say, no, you're a creep, get away. No, don't talk to me. Just in general, push me away, or I was going to say the wrong thing to upset her and push her away. But honestly, I really enjoyed, and I'm speaking of a specific night in particular where I took a friend to go learn how to play Magic the Gathering. But honestly, just being able to do that and being able to have someone to talk to spend some time with, hang out with, all of that was just really nice. We had so much to talk about, which I didn't expect to happen. I didn't think we had as much in common as we actually do, but we had so much to talk about. And just having that communication with someone, having that person to hang out with, and being able to spend that time, especially on something that I enjoy. And she ended up not enjoying it that much just because it is a complicated game to learn, and we may have had a little bit of alcohol involved. But anyways, it wasn't even so much the card game. It was just being able to hang out and do things. And now I'm trying to hang out with other people and with her again at various places to try and continue this whole thing, because it's nice to hang out with someone, it's nice to talk to someone, to break out of being antisocial, but you can't just let it be a one and done. Okay, I've talked to you, I'm not antisocial anymore. That's not how it works. So I'm really making an effort at keeping it going. Okay, we've hung out once, when do you want to get up together again? So that I'm making habits of hanging out with people, of being social. And I feel like overall that's going to be what cures me of being antisocial, and what helps me find the life that I've wanted this whole time but haven't known how to find. And I know my roommate, if he watches this, is going to be like, I've been saying this for years. And yes, you've been saying it for years, I know. But it's one of those things that it takes time to be able to tell yourself to go do this. It takes a lot of time to force yourself to break what you've been doing for years, by breaking that shutting yourself off. And it just takes a long time to say, I'm not content with this life. I'm going to go and find a better one. And this is how I'm going to do it, which is the antithesis of how I've been living my life. Because I've been living my life trying to stay as alone as possible, because I was afraid that trying to hang out with people was going to hurt, because they were going to shut me away. And again, it's that sort of oxymoron of, they're going to shut me away, so I'm just going to shut them away and make myself alone. But now that I'm broken free of that, I know it's going to be a continual effort until it's just second nature for me to hang out with people. It's going to be a continual effort of, hey, so now that we've hung out, do you mind hanging out again? Do you mind doing this? Do you mind if we talk here? So it's something I'm really working on. Something that I feel like needed to be said for all of those people who are suffering from the same thing, where they feel alone, but they're also being antisocial. And that's why they feel alone. And a lot of people don't associate that with each other. A lot of people associate them feeling alone with other people pushing them away, other people shunning them, and that's why they're antisocial, since they're getting pushed away anyways. A lot of people don't notice, I didn't notice, that I was lonely because I was pushing them away, because I assumed they were either already pushing me away or going to push me away. And I think that's just something that, now that I've realized the problem, it's going to take a lot of time and effort and help from friends to break out of that, to become the person I want to be, to become that social person that I know I have to be if I ever want to be happy. So I'm making the steps forward, and I'm happy with what I've done so far. Now I just have to keep doing it. So I think that's all I have to say about this. It's actually a relatively longer video than I expected. I had that period in the middle where I was like, I don't know what to say, and then I got into a rant. So, which is kind of, I like the way that works in these videos, where I'll stagger off because I don't know what to say, and then I'll get on a line of thought and I'll just run with it. And I kind of like the way that works, because I get a lot of thoughts out I didn't even know I was thinking. And that's again why I pointed out that it's good to get your ideas out, especially with other people. And again, sort of going with that whole social thing of having friends you can talk to about that stuff, where you learn so much about yourself, even as you're learning about them, because you're voicing opinions you may not have known you had. So anyways, I hope this video helps someone out there. If it even helps one person, I feel like this video was worth making. As always, I appreciate you taking the time to come watch this video. If you liked it, feel free to hit the like button. If you want to be kept up to date with when I release new content, feel free to subscribe. If you know someone else who could benefit from this or enjoy this video, feel free to share it. It helps the video grow, or the channel grow, and I really appreciate that. And I do want to point out that I've gotten over 10,000 views, and I really want to thank everyone who's watched my videos because of that. This video has only gotten to where it is because of you people, and I really appreciate that, for the people who've shared, the people who've subscribed, and just watched the videos. So I am really appreciative of that, and I hope to see you in the next one.